Hey guys, it's Crystal. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to thank everybody that has already liked and subscribed and even commented on my first intro video. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. So, in this video, as you can tell by the title, I am going to be talking about PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and then also about how I was able to get pregnant, and very little about how I unfortunately did miscarry that pregnancy. I'm not going to go too much into detail about the miscarriage just because I wanted to save that for another video, and that would probably make this video like 2 hours long. So we're not going to do that today. Diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome back in 2012. I started working at a hospital and got really good insurance, made an appointment with an OB, and I just really wanted to discuss how since I got my first period when I was like about 12, up until then, 2012, I was 23 years old, on and off, I never got my period. It would be maybe I would get it 3 months, and then I would go 6 months without it, and then vice versa. It was just everywhere. I know that in my family, we did have a history of having missed periods without being pregnant, so we didn't really think too much of it, but I knew that something was off. So I went to my OB, and I kind of gave her like my symptoms, which was just that I would never get my period. She did her physical exam, and she said, you know what, let's go ahead and get an ultrasound because I really think you have what we call polycystic ovarian syndrome. And what she described it as being was that in my ovaries, I have little cysts, and they just kind of accumulate around. They don't go anywhere. I know that there is people who have more severe cases of PCOS. Fortunately for me, it was just that they were there, they were an inconvenience, they were not painful to me, but that's what was causing my hormonal imbalance and causing me to have missed periods. So I had struggled with PCOS way before I got officially diagnosed. There is no treatment for PCOS. They're still doing a lot of research on it. What they do suggest is, changing your lifestyle, eating better, exercising. But what my doctor suggested to regulate my cycle was to get on birth control. Let me fix my camera, sorry guys. So she suggested to get on birth control. I really didn't know any better. She was a doctor. I said, okay, sure, why not? I went ahead and got on birth control, and that did regulate my period. I got on birth control, and I was on birth control for about 12, 13, 14, 15, about 2.5, 3 years. In my family, a lot of the females don't really get on birth control. Maybe Mexican heritage culture or something, that we just really think it's gonna make it harder for you to get pregnant later on. So around that, not in a relationship, I had just gotten out of a relationship, and I decided to stop my birth control. I decided that personally I wanted to try to eat better and exercise to kind of see if my period would regulate on its own. It didn't. So fast forward to about late 2015, I met Joseph, my then boyfriend, my now husband. We met in November 2015. And obviously, like new couples do, you start discovering each other, start talking about, your plans, what you want in the future. Do you want kids? Do you not want kids? Joseph does have some medical background, so I disclosed right away, like, yes, I want kids. You obviously want kids too, but you need to know that I do have a condition, and it is called PCOS, in which I was told that it would probably be hard for me to get pregnant if and when I decided to do so. Again, by this time, I was already off of my birth control. So I also informed him of that, and I just kind of told him that it was because I wasn't being sexually active, and I kind of wanted to regulate my body to see if I could just get my period on my own. Anyways, after discussing this, Joseph and I got pretty serious pretty quickly. We kind of knew that we were it for each other. I know that sounds crazy. And I said, well, you know what? If you're for it, I'm for it. And I want to talk to my doctor about what steps I can start taking now to see if I can get pregnant. He agreed. And that's what we did. So I think towards the end of that year, maybe closer to December, I went to my OB. I have decided that I want to start trying to get pregnant. I've been off my birth control for a while now. What are the next steps because of my PCOS? And she said, well, what we suggest is for couples to try for a year without any medical intervention. And I was kind of disappointed because I kind of wanted fast results. I'm the type of person that's like, I want it now. But I understood. So I went back and I told Joseph, I said, she wants us to try for a year without any medical intervention. And then if it doesn't happen, we'll discuss next steps. So that was end of 2015. All of 2016, we tried. And that's to say, maybe my period came on its own, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 times. So if you know, then you know that to ovulate, to have an egg for the sperm to inseminate, you have to have your period. So I knew it wasn't gonna happen if I didn't have my period, but doctor's orders. So we did try all of 2016. Later on, towards the end of 2016, maybe October, November-ish, I went back to her and I said, look, I'm not pregnant. It's not happening. What can we do? And then also, by this time I had just turned 28. So my time clock I felt was ticking. I already knew that it was going to be hard for me to get pregnant. So on top of all of just, you know, the stereotypical, like, when are you gonna have babies? When are you gonna get married? You're Mexican. You should have already been dead. You know, blah, blah, blah. But some people just don't really know what people are struggling with. And I think that's a big thing that people need to keep in mind, that sometimes it's not just super easy for some women to get pregnant, and it's a struggle. Mine was PCOS. So just kind of keep that in mind. Be sensitive, because it's a sensitive topic. Back to the doctor. What we'll do is we'll start you on medication. The medication that she wanted to start me on, which by all means, you know, my head automatically went to like, oh my God, I'm gonna need IVF. It's gonna be expensive. I wasn't really educated yet, so I didn't know that there is pills that you could take first to try to get pregnant, and then gradually you move on to more invasive procedures if needed. So she started me on 2 medications. One of them was progesterone, and I would have to take that for 10 days to induce my cycle. And then once my cycle came, I would have to start on what is called Clomid. So the progesterone is kind of like a hormonal medication, I believe, and it's supposed to cause your period to come. And then the Clomid, it's supposed to cause your ovaries to stimulate so they can release an egg, so then therefore you could hopefully get pregnant. That was late 2016. I want to say maybe October. So granted, guys, if you know anybody or you have ever had to do Clomid or progesterone, it is a time-consuming thing because you have to really time a lot of when you start the medication, when you take it, and then also your period. You have to keep track of your period days and your ovulation. So it wasn't like I took the pills, I got my period, I took the next pills, and then did the deed, and then bam, we're pregnant, right? 2 months for all of that process to happen, and then for us to be able to try, and then probably another month for us to see if it worked. Went home and I talked to Joseph and I said, this is what we need to do. This is what she said is going to be the process. Again, the progesterone, it's 10 pills that you take, and then you wait to get your period. After those 10 days, you get your period. And on cycle day 3 of your period, which is the 3rd day that your period falls on, you start taking the Clomid. And then you take 5 days of that. So it's cycle day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? By the end of your period, your pills are finished. And then we were told that after I finished my period, we would have to do the deed every other day. So you would think every day is better because, you know, there's more action, there's more sperm towards the egg. But the concept behind every other day is to be able to have the sperm in the male build up to have a better quantity and quality of the sperm to be able to inseminate that egg. That was all about maybe October, November, and December of 2016. So we did the deed every other day and then just waited. I mean, honestly, guys, I was so excited because I was finally able to get the chance to see if I could get pregnant with this medication. Yes, my husband, I was just so like, okay, we have to do it at this time. I'm ovulating. This is what the chart says. I was crazy. Okay? Waited. There's like the 2-week wait before you can take a pregnancy test, right? Granted, I had never been pregnant before. So I didn't really know how my body was going to react to a pregnancy or anything like that. But I knew that on the mark of the 2-week wait, I was going to take a test. And I remember by this point, we were living at my in-laws' house. He had gone to work that morning and I was like, it's a day, I'm going to take a test. We're going to see what happens. And, you know, obviously, when you think about pregnancy and your first pregnancy and how you think you're gonna react and tell people, I wanted to surprise Joseph in the cutest, most, you know, craziest way, but the excitement, I just didn't know if I was gonna be able to hold it in. I remember going into the bathroom and thinking, okay, God, if this is it, then, you know, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get pregnant, or hopefully let me be pregnant. So I was just really nervous to see how the medication would react to my body and see if my body was able to do what it was supposed to do on the medication. So I remember going into the bathroom that morning and then I took a test. And it was just an over-the-counter, you know, I don't remember if it was a first response or a clear blue. Peed on the stick and then waited. Again, this whole thing was a waiting game. It took forever. I saw the pregnancy test and it was positive. I was shocked as hell. Like, I could not believe that on the first try, I got pregnant, right? I don't think Joseph could believe it either. I mean, granted, we had decided 2 months into knowing each other that we wanted to start trying to have a baby. It took us a year to even get to this point to where we did need medical intervention because of my PCOS. Calling him right away and he said, I just pulled out of the house, what's wrong? And I said, I'm pregnant, the test says that I'm pregnant. And I was trying not to be so loud because I remember like my mother-in-law was upstairs or something. There was people in the house and I just didn't want to like give it away so quickly, right? And he was like, nuh-uh, no you're not. And I said, yes, I'm pregnant. And I remember him saying, send me a picture or something like that. So we were definitely excited. I mean, still in shock like that it happened so fast. And on the first try of being on the medication, I remember calling my mom and my sister and they were just as shocked. And I mean, the year that we were trying, we didn't really tell anybody. We were only like a year into our relationship and people would be like, you're crazy, we weren't married. But we already knew that, you know, we were gonna be together in our minds. After that, obviously, because I was considered high risk because I did need medical intervention and I did have cysts in my ovaries. Appointment with the doctor, obviously, to get my blood drawn to make sure that my levels were going up correctly during this pregnancy, that my body was gonna be able to maintain this pregnancy. So I remember going in really early, and I don't think they do these appointments this early. It was about 5 weeks. I was 5 weeks pregnant and I went in and they did an ultrasound. and they could see like the sac, I guess where the baby's supposed to be inside, and they didn't see anything inside the sac, but they didn't say that this was a bad thing. They just said that it's really early in the pregnancy, and then but yes, I did ovulate. Yes, they do see a sac, and yes, my levels are showing that I am pregnant. So I went home that day with my little ultrasound picture. Sorry. And I was so excited. Whew, I'm getting emotional because it's taking me back to that. I was so excited because I didn't think it was going to be possible for me to ever be one of those women that came home with an ultrasound to show and say I'm pregnant, just because this PCOS thing really put a damper on that. So I went home with my little ultrasound, and I remember sending pictures to my mom and to my sister and, you know, friends. I was just so excited. And looking back now, I wish that maybe I wouldn't have announced so soon to a lot of people, because unfortunately a couple of weeks after that, I went in for another ultrasound, and I was told that nothing developed in the sac, and by 8 weeks, I believe, they should have already seen a little fetus in there, a little baby, but there was nothing in my sac. And granted, not all women with PCOS tend to have miscarriages, but 1 in 4 women do suffer from miscarriages, whether they do or they don't have any kind of medical issues or anything like that. I did a lot of research back then just because it was so traumatizing for me, and I really wanted to understand it. But from what the doctor said, they called it a miscarriage. They just didn't know what was the cause of it. They don't know if it was a PCOS or you know, science saying that there was something wrong with this embryo or this little fetus or this little baby, that it wasn't developing correctly. So that was really hard to hear, just because all the excitement that came before that, and I just pictured a baby at the end of 9 months of this, right? You know, throughout this whole journey, I did get pregnant, but unfortunately I did suffer that miscarriage. After that, a lot went into just kind of physically and mentally taking care of myself and my body, so that when we were ready, we could try again. But my doctor did say that, you know, this is normal, it happens, unfortunately, but we can try again. So that was what was always said to me. We can try again. We know that the Clomid works. Your body did what it was supposed to do with it, but unfortunately, sometimes these things happen. I'm not going to talk about the miscarriage part a lot, because a lot, when that happened, a lot went down after that, literally. It wasn't just a easy process after that. It was 1.5 months of having things done to me, to my body, to make sure that it healed properly. And I want to talk about that in a different story. I am not by any means a medical professional. I mean, I do nursing, but I do not specialize in reproductive health. This is just my experience, what happened to me, led up to me getting pregnant, and then unfortunately I did end up miscarrying. But again, this happened in 2017. Fast forward now to 2020. I have a healthy, beautiful, almost 15-month-old little boy, and I am currently pregnant with a little girl. So I have been very blessed since all of this happened. This is just something that I wanted to talk about freely and open, because a lot of people that do know me don't know that, 1, I suffered with infertility, and 2, the process that I had to take to get pregnant, not just in 2017, but also with my son. That I had a miscarriage. Unfortunately, miscarriage is a big stigma that a lot of women don't talk about, choose not to talk about, because in my situation, I just felt really ashamed because I felt like I already had problems with PCOS, and then also I felt like my body couldn't even maintain or do what it was supposed to do. I had a lot of guilt. It took a long time for me to heal from that and for me to be able to move on and to try again. I want to thank you guys for watching this video, this story of mine. If anybody can relate, or if you have any questions, or if you want to know a little more about how I went about things, or if I can help anybody in any way, please let me know. I'm gonna put my email down. Feedback, any kind of feedback is always appreciated. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I am thinking that I am gonna be posting maybe twice a week. What kind of things you guys like to see, what kind of things you guys want to hear. And again, I think soon I will be posting about my miscarriage and just kind of more into detail about that. But yeah, thank you so much, you guys, for your support. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.